turned off my second monitor.
Are we starting?
Yeah.
Right now.
Okay, people are coming in.
Hi, Joan.
Hello there. Hi.
Whoops, wait a minute.
Who's talking?
It's me, Robin.
Oh, hi, Robin.
Hi, Joan. Good to see you.
Could you tilt the screen a little bit? Yeah, perfect. Very good.
Oh, I need those cookbooks. Just blank us out again.
Do you really do? Can I just tilt it?
It's too low. It's like looking up your nostrils.
I think we'll wait another minute or two for people to continue to arrive. Let's see. Let me just see something.
What are you doing?
I just wanted to see where we were in our participation. Okay, let's start. Welcome to everybody. Today is Wednesday, September 23rd. And it is our fourth and penultimate meeting of the This Is Real and You Are Completely Unprepared book discussion group. And thank you everyone for coming. It's been really awesome for us. I hope it's been really great for you. And tonight we're going to have a talk by Marilyn Heiss, which I'm really excited about, and I'm going to introduce her after we do the 10 minutes of meditation. And Marilyn is here, and actually Marilyn's going to lead this meditation.
Great. Thanks, Joan.
You're welcome.
So it's important to me that we need to acknowledge that we live in really tough, difficult times right now. There's really no need to list what's going on. We all know it. We're living it. And it is unrelenting. Those are just the facts. On Friday evening, actually going into Rosh Hashanah, a friend of mine texted me with the words, "Just breathe through it." And when I texted her back to thank her, she said that she was just giving back some words that some wise woman once taught her. And so it's important that we start this to be able to breathe through at least some of it, to center ourselves, knowing that in this moment, we are not alone. But tonight, being present can be difficult. And so I want to give some instruction as we go into meditation, just to help guide us in these times. So I'm going to ask you to please sit comfortably, but upright. You know, whatever that means for you in your space. Keep that upright posture so that the breath can really move through. Keep your head up, not down, not back, just in a really neutral position, like there's a string on top of your head, holding it up, supporting. Put your arms or your hands somewhere very mindfully, just so that you know that you feel them, that they're not just flopped, that they're there, that they're just, it's another way of being mindful. And as you take a breath in, direct it somewhere in your body. And there's a simple meditation, a guided meditation that maps that out for you, that I want to share, that might help. And it's based on the letters Yud Hey Vav Hey, which are the letters that spell out the name for Adonai that we do not voice. And when you think about Yud Hey Vav Hey, if you think of Yud as the head, and Hey as your arms, Vav as your spine, and Hey as your legs. You can use that as a way to breathe in to your head. Breathe out down your arms. Breathe in through your spine and out through your legs. And that way you also get that way of mapping a divine spirit on you as well. But whatever you choose, try to stay upright and still. And if you find yourself losing your focus, thoughts coming in, posture collapsing, just stop, reset, maybe put your shoulders back, place your hands again, and take another first breath. Because the reality is those first breaths are always the best breaths of meditation because you're all set. And if during a time period you can spring a couple of first breaths together, or maybe just one, that is a great thing. And so I invite you all now to set yourself. I'll ring the bell 3 times to start the session. And you'll hear my voice and the bells at the conclusion. all the invisible things fill our days, music and love and laughter. All the intangible things affect us, words and anger and prejudice. You are invisible and intangible, a God of moods and relationships. Within us, you are the spirit of unity. Beyond us, you are the guide to greatness. We pray to you with an invisible, intangible prayer. You answer with a flaming sunset and the touch of a baby's cheek.
Thank you, Marilyn. I'm going to give a few words of introduction. Marilyn was one of the first people that we met when we came to Beth Shalom Low those 20 years ago and met Rabbi Lou. And we were in practice period together for many practice periods, many years. And Marilyn actually was Rabbi Lou's assistant in Makor Or and was the executive director of Makor Or for 2 years. And I really admire Marilyn's commitment to her Jewish practice, to Tikkun Olam, and I know that she has a lot of really fabulous things to say. I love when she gives a talk in synagogue, and I'm sure we will enjoy hearing her tonight. I know Marilyn is going to have an intention for our group discussion, but I just wanted to say that we are officially in the days of awe, and I hope that we don't lose you again. And I hope that they are being awesome. I hope that whatever your tshuva is, that it's going well, and we'll have a chance to talk about that after Marilyn gives her talk and after we have the breakout groups. Don't know why our screen. Okay, all right. Marilyn.
Thanks, Joan. Hi, everyone. And just coming up the meditation, it just occurs to me that I just want to share for anyone who, again, meditation, is hard and focus is hard. And this is the Rabbi Lou Book Club. And just so you know, Rabbi Lou would often say, when he would teach meditation, he would say, like, I look great in meditation. I'm there, I'm tall, I got the posture, I got the thing, I'm still, I'm there. You think I'm in it? Nah, I'm not always in it. So know that even a man with 30 years of practice, this is what he did. I know they were here in the room who heard this. That know that we may look really good. That takes its own practice. But it is one of those things that you just keep learning and you just keep doing. So I want to encourage you all to know that if it's hard for you, well, that's part of the deal. And it's a great thing to keep practicing. So I actually have 2 threads that I want to go through tonight with all of you. In thinking about what I wanted to share about Rabbi Lou and about this book. And the first is something that I've heard from each of the people who spoke up until now. And it resonates totally with me as well. Because one of the threads that has been running through every talk is that each of us, anyone who has talked about one major theme that has come through is practice. Norman talked about a meditation practice. He was like, just do it. This is what we're here. Rabbi Danya Ruttenberg, also, an early practitioner with Rabbi Lou, she talked about the practice of tshuva, how it changes every year, that it's a practice. And Jeffrey Katz, last week, he talked about what it is to have this practice, that it's so ongoing. That the thing about practice is that when you need it, it's there. And he talked very movingly about how that practice was there for him. But if you don't have the practice, it can't be there in those times. And me, well, there's no doubt that when people ask me about my practice, I make no bones about the fact that I got my practice from Rabbi Lou. There are times that I don't speak so kindly with him about it these days, because there are times I can hear him in my ear going, you can't just stop doing something because it's not working right now. Rabbi Lou really was all about practice. I think my love of ritual comes from that teaching and that he gave us about practice. And practice was always at the core of what we did at Makor Or. What were the main things in the practice period? Well, we practiced, it's called a practice period. But one of the things, we had meditation tied to normative Jewish prayer. It was a practice. We committed to doing it, and it became that meaning, both the meditation and the minyan. Shabbat became a practice. Was it part of the practice period? I actually don't remember it being one of the rules, one of the things that we committed to doing, but we all ended up there on Shabbat, many of us meditating before starting services. But by doing it, it became our practice. And of course, one of the fundamental things at Makor Or was that we lived following the Jewish sacred calendar. We lived in Jewish time. The daily rituals, the weekly rituals, the minyan and Shabbat, the monthly ritual. When you go to minyan, you know when the month happens because you celebrate Rosh Chodesh. So you don't need a calendar to tell you where the moon is. You know where you are. And of course, all the stopping points along the way that have really run my life now for 20 years, that give us those places to reflect, not stopping your lives, but giving you things like counting the Omer for 49 days. And yet it's a period where we're able to give ourselves mindfulness because we practice it. And this year, I have to say editorially, these practices, yes, we all need them. And I can echo what Jeffrey has said, that having the practices in place through this difficult time is a blessing, because they mean more to us now than they ever have. I think this Elul was the most impactful Elul of my life, because taking that time to reflect each day gave me an anchor in an era where time is just in a strange place. And we learn that even though we keep practicing and the holidays and the observances are in the same place every year, the calendar is what it is. But as I often teach, it's a spiral. Yeah, we go around, but we're not in the same place when we get to the start again as we are right now. Now we're in a very different place, but we're always in a different place. But practice gives you a way to keep it all together, and to realize that you know what that, you can see what that place, you can monitor it. You can be mindful. And one thing about bringing this flow of Jewish practice, of Jewish spiritual practice into your life, is that it starts to radiate out into all parts of your life. And that brings me to the second thing I want to bring up with you today. Because an integral part of my practice right now, the practice that I got from Rabbi Lou, along with following all the Jewish observances, is that my work at Glide is an integral part of my practice right now. It actually has become a minion for me. And it actually was from the start, because I gave up a minion morning to go to Glide, to commit to going to Glide every Friday morning at 7 o'clock in the morning to help feed breakfast to people who have none. And I joked and said, that's my minion. Now I will say that it literally became my minion when my father passed away a year and a half ago. And I had to be at a crossroads to decide what to do. Because I said Kaddish for my father every day. And I was blessed to have a Beth Shalom minion that I could go and say it with. But there was this Friday, and there was Glide. But I have a lot of blessings in my life. And another one is that at Fridays, not only do I go at 7 o'clock and help do breakfast, but at the kitchen, we have a program where we bake challah on Friday mornings for the people who work at Glide, to take care of the caregivers, to thank these people who do really tough, holy work with a difficult population that is just tragically marginalized. And if we could bring a little bit of our Shabbat to them and bring them something that was take care of them and let them know that they were thanked and they were needed, that's what we did. And we've been doing that now for 3 years. So there I was baking challah at Glide, and I literally gathered people in a storeroom every Friday during my time of Kaddish to say Kaddish. Were we 10 Jews? I'll say there were 10 Jews in the building. There were at least 5 Jews. But the other people who came to support and to be there, that was enough for me. So literally Glide became that part of my practice. So what do I do at Glide? Well, pre-COVID, I would just take tickets at a door to let people in, greeting them. As Rabbi Michael Lezak, who is the rabbi at Glide Foundation, says, you greet these people like they're coming into a 4-star hotel. And you can see now where I'm going, that these practices in Rabbi Lou and what he taught are all coming, because that is part of his teaching as well. You know, sometimes, I make sure there's cups with napkins in it and a spoon. And then there was the morning that I was handing out trays. The trays get filled. It's not like an assembly line at Glide, again, pre-COVID. Trays were made up, and a client comes in and you hand them a tray. And you say, good morning. You say, how are you? You look them in the eye. Again, another teaching of Rabbi Lou, whether it comes from his Jewish background or his Buddhist background, that you do everything, even the smallest things, with mindfulness. And that's part of what, again, I will bring it back to practice gives you. And one morning, as I mindfully greeting these people, looking them in the eye, not always easy. I began to see those faces as they were when they were children. As Brian Stevenson says, that we're all better than the worst, than our worst traits. We are all just better than that. And that everyone has that base somewhere in them. And I think Brian Stevenson and Rabbi Lou would get along really well because they both come from that same place. So it is just, it is that for that practice. These are the benefits of what practice brings into your life and what Rabbi Lou brought into our lives. Because as many of you know, Rabbi Lou was a really strong, Rabbi Lou was doing social justice before it was a thing. Rabbi Lou was an incredibly strong advocate for the homeless, to such an extent that, there were people at Beth Shalom when he was rabbi there that were not too happy with his stance on that. And I know I'm not the only one in this room who was at Marin outside of San Quentin on those nights as part of a vigil when someone was being executed. As Rabbi Lou and Sister Bernie, who was his partner in the homeless stuff, as in the homeless coalition, as well as in the anti-death penalty groups. And I will say the utmost that, the honor to Rabbi Lou and to show the relationship of what he had with these people. Sister Bernie Galvin not only spoke at Rabbi Lou's funeral, because they both were leaders of the Religious Witness with Harm at that organization. But I shomered overnight for Rabbi Lou at Sinai. And Sister Bernie was at the door at 8 a.m. If she could have shomered for him, been there and watched his body in that Jewish tradition that was so important to Rabbi Lou, she would have. But she wanted to be there to pay her respects. It was, to this day, one of the most beautiful things I have seen, to see that honor being paid. Rabbi Lou, what can you say? He walked the walk. He brought so much to us. It is mind-boggling, the effect that he's had on our lives. Which brings us a teaching that I want to share with all of you. And it's a teaching from This Is Real. And as I am slated to talk about Yom Kippur, it is a teaching on the Haftorah for Yom Kippur, part of which I am wearing on the shirt at this very moment. I think this is a teaching in the book that always touched me so deeply in many ways. And this is before I had anything to do with Glide. I will say that Rabbi Lou gave me an appreciation for the prophets that I didn't really have. Many of you know I'm a Torah person. That's the center of my being. I can deal with the rest, but the prophets get a little I'm like, stop yelling at me. I get it. I heard you, but you're yelling at me. And I don't know how I feel about that. But it was Rabbi Lou who really, reading his commentary in this Haftorah, really got me there to really get the prophets. But I have to say that, and I've been actually blessed to be able to share this teaching at the kitchen for many years now. To be able to share Rabbi Lou at the kitchen is always really wonderful. And to share this teaching particularly, and to share it with all of you, because as much as Rabbi Lou has now, I was really happy that he helped me get the prophets. I have to admit that these days, I kind of has become, I'm like channeling Isaiah a lot these days. Is all I have to say. Because we do live in difficult times for many ways, but it's been difficult in this town for many years now. with what's happening in the homeless in the streets and how, we are dealing with that. And I've heard a lot of complaints from people of, oh, it's not the same, San Francisco, and I can't deal, and I'm leaving, and why aren't people doing, and what it is, and I can't, and enough. I have to admit that I have to say enough. I really don't want to hear that anymore. Because what are you doing to help it? These people are there. I understand the difficulties. I've lived in this town for 30 years, more than 30 years now. I know the differences. I've seen it. And I understand the concerns and the fears and the wanting to look away. But that's not what Rabbi Lou teaches. And in this Haftorah, it's extremely clear. And so what I want to do is share this teaching with you. And I'm actually going to read, I'm going to edit it and just read a bit of the beginning and the end, and to give it to you in his words. I've given it often in my words, and they're okay. But all of you have heard his words. And there's parts of this where, one in particular that I know you will get. This is one of the places I hear his voice so clearly. And so when I first started doing this teaching, I did this version. And then I have inhabited it. But now, to truly honor my teacher, I really want to give it in his words. So he does start the teaching on the Haftorah with an explanation of the Kabbalistic creation, of the fact that there was the tzimtzum, of this contraction to create the universe. God had to take this little piece, of moving a little speck out of the vast emptiness of Ein Sof, of the endlessness of God. And that was creation. But then what happened was when the light, that little was hauled away in these vessels, they shattered. The strength of the light just shattered the vessels. And that's where the tikkun olam, the repair of the world, comes from. Because Rabbi Lou says, the purpose of human existence, according to the Kabbalah, is tikkun olam, repairing the universe, fixing the vessels, recapturing the divine light. Everything we can do to correct the brokenness of the world accomplishes this. Spiritual activity accomplishes this. And so does the pursuit of social justice in the world. The Haftorah, we read in the middle of Yom Kippur service, also speaks of a radiance and a movement from darkness to the light. It's Yom Kippur morning, and we are feeling quite pious, quite proud of ourselves for having fasted all the way from dinner last night to the present moment. Our growling stomach reinforces this feeling. We congratulate ourselves with great sincerity with each fresh pang. And then, all of a sudden, we hear the voice of God through the medium of the prophet Isaiah, mocking us, taunting us. Is this the fast I have chosen? Is this your affliction of the soul? Is it to droop your head like a bulrush, to grovel in sackcloth and ashes? Is this what you call fasting? This fast that Adonai would accept? Is this not my chosen fast? Loosen the bonds that bind men unfairly. Let the oppressed go free. Break every yoke. Share your bread with the hungry. Take the homeless into your home. Clothe the naked when you see them. Do not turn away from people in need. Then cleansing light shall break forth like the dawn, and your wounds shall soon be healed. Isaiah is telling how we might turn away from our own darkness, from the place where everything has some weird failure to it. When we feed the hungry, when we house the homeless, when we care for those in need, we move towards the light. The way of Yom Kippur is to realize, like Isaiah, that we are all part of a whole, and that we move towards the light of God when we behave this way, when we care for each other, when we realize in our flesh and bones that our own happiness depends on the happiness of everyone else in the world. We can't enjoy our affluence while people are starving. Compassion heals. Loving kindness heals. Justice heals. Meditation heals. Prayer heals. The Shabbat heals. Yom Kippur heals. All these activities reinforce each other, depend upon each other, and taken together, they purify us of our delusion and separation and its attending sense of absurdity. They impart a sense of the sacred to us, an immediate sense of our connection to everyone and to everything, and the imperative for engagement with the world which flows out of this sense. When we are hungry, we eat. And when we are tired, we sleep. When someone else is hungry, we feed them. When someone else is homeless, we find shelter for them. If we try to ignore them, we only darken our world. Better to pick up the broken shards of our vessel and begin to piece them together again. We are all broken vessels yearning for the light. I mentioned Brian Stevenson earlier. Brian Stevenson is head of the Equal Justice Initiative, someone who is working and has worked tirelessly to make sure that marginalized people who end up in prison simply because of the color of their skin or how they and where they live get justice. And he talks about we all have a broken place within us. And it's through that broken place that we reach each other in their broken places. Again, there's no doubt that whether he knows of Rabbi Lew or not, he is teaching him. And I want to just, before I give you intention, walk back to the first part of this, which is practice. Because I want you to realize that it is through the practice and many years of the practice that we get to this place, that we get to collect our light, that we get to start repairing those shards with those shards. It's not the only way to go, but it is one way. And it is really accessible no matter how you can bring it into your life. So for your breakout groups, what I want to invite you to do, I have 3 cover notes for you. to see how it goes. One is I'm going to ask you to check in with the people in your group. Maybe give each other a certain amount of time. I'm not sure what the breakdown is. To say how you're doing, maybe a minute or two of just checking in, going around with everyone listening. Because these are tough times, and I know people are in pain. I know I am. But we still march through, but still check in. And then I'd say share whatever you get to, or one or both. How practice has influenced your life, to think about. It may be something you haven't thought of that you do all the time. That's a practice for you that grounds you in time, in space, in place. Something that you realize brings you this ongoing way of life. And possibly share a practice that you can take up, whatever it would be. Once a week, once a month, once wherever it is. Because remember, practice is a commitment. So practice is not a one-time thing. I remember Rabbi Lou used to talk about, there was one woman who joined a practice period, but never really made it to anything. And he used to talk about this woman with such compassion. Because I have to admit, I got a problem with judgment. And I'm like, what's the deal? We're all here. We're up in the morning in the dark. We're doing these things. And, this woman, it's great because this woman is like, she tries to make it, but she kind of doesn't. Like, really? But again, this is where you get teaching. Rabbi Lou used to say it. It comes back to me now. It's her practice to get up and think about that she needs to go. Whether she makes it or not, well, that's the next part of her practice. So practice takes many forms. And I've learned in life, in the years of dealing with judgment, that the other side of judgment is compassion. Because if I didn't care, I wouldn't be so judgmental. So be compassionate to yourself. Channel Danya Ruttenberg, who told us that tshuva this year is gentleness. So be kind to yourselves, but maybe see what kind of practice you can take up. So those are the three things. Check in. Has practice influenced your life? And or what kind of practice do you think you could see yourself taking up? There you go.
Marilyn, did you want to join someone?
No, I didn't. I actually just left because I don't think it's fair for me to be somewhere.
Cool. I think I'm going to. I'm just sending out your intentions to everyone.
Thank you. Oh, wait, Rosemary's here though.
She tends to stay on and then not go. So I'm going to jump in a breakout room. Well, 1 and 2. Hold on.
One has two people in it because I was in it, so I know that.
I'm going to move breakout room 1 to breakout room 2.
Okay, yeah. Freak them out a little. Boo.
And then Adams. Oh, there's.
And Sandy just came. Thanks, Sandy.
Right, and I'm going to do the same thing with Adam. And
Do you want to let Sandy in?
Oh. Yeah, I'm like,
Sandy, did you just join?
No, I just accidentally got logged out.
Sandy, what room were you? Do you want me to put you in?
6.
Room 6? All right, I'm sending you back there.
Thank you.
I'll join 3. All right, Marilyn, you're in charge.
That's scary.
I'll send out like at 8.
You do your thing. I'm just like, I'm cruising now. I just talk for a long time.
I'll get everyone back at 8:10.
Okay, cool.
All right.
Hi, Rosie, if you can hear me. I see everyone trickling back.
Hi, Betsy.
Oh, did someone else want to speak?
No, I'm
Oh.
unmuted.
I said that from my practice, one of the things that how practice has impacted my life is that at the tender age that I have just turned, which is into a senior citizen, I'm training myself, or let's say I've become addicted to only doing one thing at a time. And this has changed my life. When I eat, I'm eating. When I'm walking, I'm walking. When I'm talking to someone, I'm trying to focus as much as I can. And what I said in my group was that as I was a single working mother at one point in my life, and you don't ever do one thing at a time. You do 80 things at a time. And so I've had to untrain myself. And now that my kids are gone 15 years, I'm finally succeeding in the one thing at a time. So I am so indebted to my practice for that.
Well, maybe I'll say something that I didn't say this in the group, but I wanted to acknowledge and thank Marilyn for the teaching, and especially sharing her experience at Glide and just working consciousness of homelessness in general. It's very inspiring. I've started to do social justice work at work, particularly in the wake of all this terrible racial violence that's been happening, and it feels like Marilyn. I feel it's something I'm sort of called to do, and it comes from this place of practice for me. And so I just wanted to thank Marilyn for bringing that up, and it really resonates with me.
Yeah, I mean, does anyone have any, I don't know, questions, what they want to share, what they want to say about their practice? So is there anyone who would like to do that? I have no control and can't see, so.
I'll say something, Marilyn. It's Noah. And I can't claim to have like any great, like super airtight, like highly disciplined spiritual practice, but my father is a Buju, and I started meditating in graduate school to help with stress, and then I found that I was becoming addicted to peace, and so my dad and I did a, being on Zoom, I was able to do a Makor or meditation retreat for the first time that I always wanted to do. And it was just never like enough, like there's never enough time to just take a day and do it. But now I'm like, what else am I going to do? So I did it. And, and it was my first experience meditating with Norman Fisher. I mean, he was on Zoom, obviously, but he's just kind of like 30 minutes a day. Like, that's what you're going to do. And it was like, very sober. It was like your uncle being like, here's the deal. Like, you just do the thing, okay? And so I told my dad, like, and I had been meditating pretty regularly, but it was a good kind of reminder. And so he then, after he did Zen Buddhism for like most of my childhood, and he had kind of put it at the wayside. And we started every day since that retreat. We've checked in with each other almost every single day, and we've both done between 20 and 30 minutes of meditation. I think sometimes we manage to synchronize them. And sometimes we don't, but we always kind of check in like, yeah, I'm going to meditate. Okay, I'm going to meditate. And so that's been a really nice like reconnection. And I definitely have found that when he's not like lecturing me about the right and wrong way to meditate, there are like moments when I'm like, wow, we're really connecting in a way that is new.
That's great.
There are practice things that are very surprising what you get, And again, I want to encourage people that, it's not easy. Like Noah said, I mean, it's like lots of tries and fits and starts, and define practice. I mean, sometimes my family says to me, like, don't you ever like get somewhere? Don't you have goals? Like, you're practicing all the time, Life is a practice. But there is something about, and especially in these days, to have a mindfulness practice. There's just so many influences around us. And Rabbi Lou's not here. We have to take these teachings and we have to give them out and embody them, so that like any small way, that people can do something, and find something. And there is a deal about making a commitment to it. I mean, that's the one thing about practice I can say. There's a deal about making to commitment, whether it's in Jewish practice or in social justice practice. So take both of them in, but it does make a difference in your life. I mean, I'm still going to glide, and it's a lifeline for me. Yeah, I joke and say it's not me. I'm not doing the good deed. It's it's having that and seeing that. So there are lots of benefits. And I will say that if anyone wants to and feels can, volunteer at Glide at like, 6 o'clock in the morning, there might be someone out there who would be into that. I understand why many people can't, but if you know someone who could or would be interested, they can contact me, because there is a need for volunteers, because we still feed 450 to 500 people every morning. And I know that, and I only do breakfast. They feed 3 meals a day, 365 days a year. So there you go. There's my Glide pitch. Okay, Adam, Joe.
Anybody else want to say anything?
It's Joan, and I just want to reiterate something Marilyn stated about Rabbi Lou's commitment to actually feeding the homeless and dealing with homeless and standing up for homeless. At one point, those of us in the early days remember he actually would sleep in Golden Gate Park periodically with the homeless. And there were members especially of the board at the time, who felt that was not appropriate for a rabbi to participate in. And his statement to all of us at the time was, if I can't do this, there is nothing else I would want to do as a rabbi. And I think that just spoke to how strong he felt about the need to really be a participant in that whole world, as he did in so many other things. He never did anything lightly. It was always his full self, his complete soul. Amen.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Marilyn, so much for your teaching tonight. And I'm just so grateful to have this practice and to be reminded these weeks that, yeah, I can be gentle with myself. And if I just keep showing up to my practice, I'm doing the practice. And sometimes I feel like it's absent. And so, you know, or I'm not doing it well enough or whatever, but I still do roll out of bed every morning at 5:30 and I meditate for like 20 or 30 minutes before I start my day now. Been doing it for, gosh, a couple years now. And I'm just so grateful to all of you and to Rabbi Lou and just all of this stuff that we're learning. And every year I read this book and I see something different in it every single year. Every single year I underline something else that's different. And so now I started dating things so that I know which year it was that I saw certain stuff. And anyway, so thanks everyone.
Well, if anybody else wants to say something, we can have that, or we can sit for a couple of minutes and close. Just to remind you, the last meeting will be October 7th for Sukkot, and Rabbi Richmond will be giving the talk. And we wish everybody a good fast and a good Yom Kippur and blessed days of awe. And this has been really amazing. Do you want to say anything?
One thing I'll say, and I had talked to David about this before, but I'll just say it. If your participation in this program motivates you to make a contribution to the Beth Shalom, I think that would be a lovely thing. You know, so many of you are members, and you know, you probably have you know, your own practice of giving, and some of you aren't, but wherever you're coming from on that, it just, if you go to the High Holiday page on the site, there's a donate button. So I would appreciate anyone who did that.
Do you want to time us for 3
So,
minutes? Yeah, let's sit for 3 minutes. Last chance. Anybody
Sorry,
else?
yeah, Jonah, it's Betsy. I just didn't unmute myself.
Oh,
I think, you know, I'm not sure. I mean, we often, you know, make donation also to Shul in terms of, I can't even think of what it's properly called right now. You know, for Yom Kippur, David Katz, you can help me out if you can think of what I'm talking about. But I was thinking the food situation is such crisis this year. I think, you know, some of us might want to try to donate to Glide or to food banks where people's needs are really being met immediately. I mean, giving, like Adam's comment, to appreciate the synagogue for all the amazing programming is really important. And I think, you know, people should do it if they can. But I think not eating Monday is about making sure someone else can. So just a thought.
definitely.
Glide could always use it. I can tell you that.
Definitely. That's so amazing.
In honor of you, Marilyn, you are awesome with what you're doing.
okay, so we'll sit for 3 minutes and then say goodnight.
Okay.
Thank you, Betsy. Thank you again to Marilyn. Thank you so much for your talk and your teaching and your being. And thank you everyone for being here. And October 7th.
Gmar Chatima Tova.
Mar Chatima Tova.
Ra Hatima Tova.